Welcome back to my channel, Statistics for Applied Linguistics. I'm Dr. Marnie Menegra, and in this video today, we are looking at the independent samples t-test. This is also known as a two-sample t-test unpaired. And so if you recall in a different video, we looked at how to select a t-test or a z-test. So if you only have one sample and you know the population standard deviation, you're going to do a z-test. If you do not know the population standard deviation, you're going to do a one-sample t-test. Now here, this is a two-sample test. If it were paired data, so we either have sets of twins that we've split, or this could be a pre-test, post-test design with one group, then we would look at a paired sample t-test. We've got the independent samples t-test, which means the data is not paired. So this is not a pre-test, post-test design. This would be one test with two completely different groups. So you might even have different numbers of participants in each group. So this is what it would look like if you were going to calculate the statistic by hand. And I do have a list of a video that can show you how to do that. We do not need to do this by hand. So as an example, this could be comparing two classes. One class received lessons using the grammar translation method, and the other class received lessons using a mobile app with the same vocabulary set in both groups. So we want to see how well these two classes perform on a test. We want to know if the samples are different, not which ones are better. Therefore, this is a non-directional two-tailed test. And so the null hypothesis is that the two samples are equal, and the alternative hypothesis is that the two samples are not equal. So how would we do this in JASP? These are the steps. I'm going to explain the steps, but we're going to go live into JASP so you can see me do this, but I also have some screenshots following this page here. But the first step is you're going to take your Excel file and convert it to a CSV file. You should have two columns. One column will have the test score, the other column will have the group assignment. Then you're going to open the file in JASP and make sure that the test score is set to scale data and the group is set to nominal. You can also change the labels for the group if you like. Then you're going to go up to t-test and select independent samples t-test. The scale variable goes in the variables window, and then nominal variable goes in the group window. Now you can also select the descriptives and the descriptive plots. You will need the descriptives to do the write-up for the t-test, and I'm going to show how to do the write-up for the results section in a different video. But you will need the descriptives. You do not need the descriptive plots, but you can insert those into your results section if you like. And then you're going to analyze the output. One thing I did not put in here is that before you do the independent samples t-test, you may need to do the Shapiro-Wilk test if your number of participants is less than 30. But you should also do the effect size, which we'll see in a moment, and that's going to be your Cohen's d. So here I have my Excel file. As you can see, when I'm saving this, I'm converting it to a CSV file. And then I've opened up the file in JASP. I'm going to look here and make sure that the test score is set to scale and the group is set to nominal. Now I can also go into the group. So if I click on this, I can change the labels. So instead of having it say 1 and 2, I can say grammar translation method and mobile app. Then I can go up into t-test, click on independent samples t-test here. And I'm going to drag over the test score from the first window over to variables and the group to the second windows. That's going to give me this first contingency table on the right. And of course, we want to keep this as a student t-test. And then I can click on descriptives and I can give descriptive plots. Now here with the descriptives, you're going to see the mean and standard deviation in the second contingency table. This is the data that you will need to do the write-up for your results section. Okay, so here we've got the descriptive plots. We can see the difference between the grammar translation method and the mobile app. And when we look at the data from the first contingency table, the t-value is negative because the first group performed lower, or they had lower test scores than the second group. The degrees of freedom is 38. So here we're not taking the degrees of freedom based on the pairing. We're taking the degrees of freedom from group 1 and the degrees of freedom from group 2. We're adding those together. So group 1 has 20 participants minus 1, that's 19, plus 20 minus 1, that's 19. In this case, there are the exact same number of participants per group. So it's 19 plus 19 is 38. And the p-value is less than 0.05, therefore the difference is significant between these two groups. Then we also need to calculate Cohen's d, or we need to look at Cohen's d. So remember, for small it's 0.2, medium is 0.5, and large is 0.8. To get the Cohen's d for the independent samples t-test, you're going to just click on effect size here, and Cohen's d will show up right here. So look at the video on effect size which explains what this means. So really this one here tells us that it has a medium to large effect size. Okay, so let's go live now. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to open JASP, and we'll open the independent samples t-test. So here's JASP. I'm coming to the main window, or the main menu, and I'm going to go to computer. We'll go to research method example data, and I've got my CSV file right here, independent samples t-test. So as this loads, I can see that this is the test score. Here's the group where I've got 1 and 2. If I click on this, I can change 1, the label, into here. So grammar translation, I'm just going to leave it at that. And 2, we're going to go to mobile app. So I'm just going to label it like that. Now I'm going to come up to t-test, go to independent samples t-test. I'm going to take my test score. I can either click it or I can drag it over. Grouping variable is right here. So here I've got my first contingency table. I've got the student t-test. Now I want my descriptive, so I'm going to click on those because I need that for my write-up. And we'll see if we can make this window a bit bigger. I'm also going to click on effect size because I need my Cohen's d. Here I can see that this is a very large effect size between the two different groups, and the first group, the grammar translation, performed lower than the other. Now I can also click on descriptive plots here, and so that will generate the two plots. Grammar translation is lower than the mobile app. If I want, I can also click on the bar plots, and if I scroll up, we can see the difference between the two here. So this is how you would perform an independent sample t-test in JASP. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.